Hello and welcome back to ScreenBlue.com.
In this lecture, we're going to learn about types of methods in Java. Okay, so in our previous lecture, we learned about what class is. Okay, we also learned about how you can create a class. Okay, in this lecture, we're going to learn about the static method, what static method is. So static methods are basically the methods that can be called and executed without creating an object or instantiation of the main class. Okay, so far, we've been calling all the static methods because when we create a method, we did not create an object. So till now, all we've been doing is creating a static methods, calling the static methods. So it can be invoked directly via class name as well. So right now, as you can see here, I've created this method name of the dog, right? Void, static void name of dog in our last example here. So I got this static method. So how do I know it's a static method? Because it has this keyword static. Remember, when we used when you wrote some code in our Java, like in lecture 1, right, we were using static, right? So we know this is a static method. It means that can be called without creating an object, without creating an instance of the class. That's why I call it static here. So till now we've been creating static methods, but now you understand what static is. So I created a static method, public static, right? We also learn about what this void means. It returns null. It does not return anything. So I got public static void. So this is the name of dog, and this has parameter name. It's going to print out my name is whatever the dog. So I've got the other method here, bark, right? So it's also a static method because it has the static keyword in here, right? And void bark, so it just says I'm barking. So now if you can see here in the static void man, I'm just calling this method, name of dog, bark. You see here, I'm not actually doing it. I'm just calling this method here, name of dog, bark. I did not have to create an object, which means I do not have to create the copy of this class. So that's why it's called static, right? Since this method is static, you can just call it without creating an object. So I just called name of dog, Max, and bark. And it just does my name is Max and I'm bark, as you can see in here. Now let's go to IntelliJ. All right, and we're actually going to create a new class in here. I'm going to say static method. So here, let's say static void main string args. All right. So in here, I'm actually going to create public static void. Oops, sorry, not main. Name of dog. Okay, so it has one parameter name. Oops, not in the comment. So it's just going to say my name is name. So you can see here, this is a static method. Gives us that displays provides name of the dog. I know it's static because it has a static in here. Now, same thing here, public static void, let's say that bark. So here, I'm going to say system.out and ln I am barking. So now here, call static methods. You can see here, right? And this main method, okay, which is also static because I do not have to actually create an object. All right, so now here, and what happens in the Java is actually when you run this program, right? When I run this, it actually looks for this main method. And since this is a static method, you do not have to create an object to run this main method. So whenever you run the Java program, it's actually looking for this main method here. All right, so now I've got this main method. I'm going to call this name of dog. I'm going to say Max, and I'm actually going to call bark. All right, so if I do this and run it, and it's going to say my name is Max, I am barking. You see here, I was able to call this method because it was static. All right, let's create a non-static method. This is also a static method. All right, so let's create a non-static method here. A public void. Let's say sleep. And I'm going to say system.out.println I am sleeping. Let's see what happens here. if I see if I can call this sleep. So now here, as you can see, I've got this sleep method, right? But it's throwing an error here. So if you look into this error, it's saying make main not static or make sleep static, because I just cannot use this just like that. In order to use this, I actually have to create an object, which we're going to learn in our next lecture when we learn about instance methods. Okay, so now here, as you can see, I just cannot call the sleep method because it is not a static method. You cannot call that class directly. A static method is kind of like your class method. So here, as you can see, I have static bark and name of dog, so I can just call those methods without creating an object. But for this new method, I was not able to do that because that was not static. So that's why this static word means, right? We learned about, when we created a lot of this classes, right? We just did public static and we created a lot of methods, but we did not know what the static keyword means. So now you know what this static is, right? With static, you can just directly call this method bark without creating an object. So that's pretty much about this static method. Okay, it's also, not commonly used when you work in the real-time projects, but also it's very important to understand what static method is. So that's it for this lecture. I will see you guys in our next lecture.